It's a pleasure being here. I haven't actually done one of these in a few years, but thank you, Ann, Alex, at Barrett College for having me. It's been absolutely amazing, and I'd like to begin by sharing a little about myself, and so you can get a better understanding of where I'm coming from. So, the LinkedIn Entrepreneurial on Drugs that you see here today is how VCs or the outside world might view me. And I want to give you a glimpse, like sold companies, raised a bunch of venture capital, hundreds of employees, yada, yada, yada. But the real me is really the person standing in front of you today, and the only reason that LinkedIn exists. So yeah, that's me in 8th grade. And so I had basically some humble beginnings. I lost my dad when I was 5 from cancer. He was an entrepreneur, but he prioritized his work more than his health. And then later lost my stepdad. But I was raised by my single mom. My brother and I struggled with dyslexia and ADHD, still do to some extent. And I was shy, curious, but a consistent C student. So much so that actually, first time I've said this publicly, I applied to ASU and at senior year, and I got a rejection letter. And so I did go up to your friendly neighbors up in Tucson and I got my degree up there. But overall, I wasn't dealt the best hand in life, but I relentlessly set like audacious goals, worked my ass off. And basically like I learned that my successes and failures from a young age are really what shaped me into the person on that LinkedIn page. So today I'd like to give you just some understanding of some early failures. And I'm gonna go ahead and weave like some guiding principles into some personal stories and hopefully have some fun doing it. So I'll begin, with my mom actually. So I owe my resilience and perseverance to my mom. She was my cheerleader despite like a lot of questionable decisions growing up. Does anyone have some badass moms? Yeah? Yes? All right. Yeah, go moms. But from a very young age, she went and basically one of my earliest memories, business learnings, actually came from middle school. But it wasn't inside the classroom, it was outside the classroom. In my school was like the prequel to Wolf of Wall Street. And what I mean by that is they were obsessed with, anytime I walk over here, they were obsessed with fundraisers, like hawking overpriced candy bars, cookie dough, magazine subscriptions, like we were their little sales minions. So to make it worse, it was like a twisted popularity contest. And they would put our progress for each student like by the lunch area. So you'd be like absolutely ashamed if you were me because I sucked at sales. But my mom, she didn't actually buy my way to the leaderboard or even the middle leaderboard. She got on the streets with me and basically honed my sales. She was like, Sean, she started with my politeness, make sure please and thank you. And then from there, she was like, all right, one little switch on my delivery. Would you like to please buy a candy bar? And she switched it to, hey, Sean, be more assertive. Would you like to buy 1, 2, or 3 candy bars? And that went ahead and propelled me to the top of the leaderboard. And I was actually known for something other than my impressive pod collection at that time. But yeah, really it went from, that got me involved in, I liked my little side hustles, whether it was a garage sale, selling puppies. What else did we do? Yeah, breeding puppies was a story on its own. But fruit stands, and really got me, not obsessed with business, but got my feet wet. So I'm gonna use this. Oh, so as I mentioned, I was not a good student. In college, I had a laughably low, like 2.9 GPA. So sophomore year in college, they had this prestigious entrepreneurship program as in the senior year. And the average GPA to get in there was a 3.7, which I was like, that's just unattainable. But I went through like extracurriculars. I'm like, if I join the entrepreneurship club, maybe I have a chance. They didn't have an entrepreneurship club. So that got me thinking, if I start an entrepreneurship club, like how can they reject the founder? So started the Entrepreneurship Club and got the word out, sold Otter Pops, just fundraised it any way I can. Anyone that had any interest in entrepreneurship, I was like, come to this meeting. So what I expected was going to be 12 students coming to the meeting. First meeting showed up, it was 50 and 60 students. And really that was like one of my first tastes of success. And it meant a lot to me. And it actually worked. The program administrator at the Entrepreneurship Club said, I'm going to put my neck on the line. Got in there. And fast forward a year, we ended up winning first place. And that gave me a lot of confidence that while I sucked at school, I maybe could make it in entrepreneurship. So going forward, I was graduating. I graduated. I was super lost, very broke, and felt everything but a CEO. So while my friends, I was like at a crossroads, my friends were taking these pre-planned career paths. And I took an unusual detour, and I was a ranch hand in Wyoming. I had a luxury dude ranch, but it was the perfect setting, just immersed in beauty for some soul searching. And so when I was done with my labor task, I would actually be sometimes offered to work behind the bar and interact with these guests. And I had a remarkable opportunity to interact with like the CEO and founder of Dish Network, Southwest, and JetBlue. And the plot twist was these were just normal people like you and I. And I half expected them to be riding unicorns or have an entourage of like robots. The reality is they had genuine conversations just, across the bar. And they were like, yes, you should totally do it. Take risks. You don't have any babies. You don't have any mortgage. You have nothing to lose except for your sanity. Sean, go do it. So that amped me up. I left Wyoming and said, hey, if I ever make it, I'm going to go back as a guest and propose to my wife there. Fast forward, went back to Tucson. I was like, I'm going to take on the world. So we went back to the library, and I was a lingering graduate, which was kind of weird. And I was trying to find the next big idea. And I ran into a fellow Entrepreneurship Club member, Justin. And what I thought was going to be just a 30-second run-in turned into a 2-hour brainstorm. And that's when really the business idea came to us. It was like love at first sight. It was Notehall. We wanted to make the eBay of class notes. So it all started from there. In the next year and a half, the library became our office, our conference room, our 24/7 student focus group. It was awesome. It had T1 download speeds, entrepreneurial utopia because it was all free. But going forward, we would actually just run out of the conference rooms, ambush some unsuspecting students, do some user testing, come back, have our developer code up that magic feature, and just small, quick iterations. So a year and a half later, launched on campus. It was August 2008, August 26th, 2008. Does anyone know what happened a couple weeks later? Any? Crash, yeah. Lehman Brothers, bankrupt, September 16th. We couldn't have picked a worse time to start a business. But we were relentless. I mean, it was go time or basically die, ride or die. And we decided to keep going. And we were lingering on bankruptcy, trying to make every dollar count, turning ourselves into marketing ninjas, trying every single thing you would see on campus. So I just I looked at my Google Drive and we tried a Guitar Hero contest, threw these cards under every dorm. We tried to wear till it tears and had this tent out on the campus. Ultimately, none of this shit worked. It was all failures. But what it did, by immersing ourselves in the student population, it led us to our most scalable and effective marketing tactic. Does anyone know what network effects marketing is? And it's fine if you don't. I just learned 7 years ago. That's what we had. What it was, we went on Rate My Professor. Is that still a thing? Wow. That was the best acquisition MTV could ever have made. But Rate My Professor, found the largest classes, found the toughest classes, hired note takers to seed content, and then showed students, empowered them to market to their class through Blackboard. You guys still have that?
Canvas.
Canvas? All right. But yeah, this is right when the listservs were happening. So market the notes. Every student that came, 36 students on average, these are like hardwired in my brain. It is so exciting. 36 students would come on for the average email, and then 2 of those students would upload their class notes for that class or another. I'm getting into the weeds here, but it was really important because fast forward 15 months later, we had 30 students managing over 10,000 note takers across the country in 200 campuses. And the only reason we got this is by taking small risk, immersing ourselves in the student life and iterating quickly. So what else do I have on here? Entrepreneurial shoestring shenanigans. Okay. So now Notehall is growing really quickly at this point, but our note takers are starting to come back and they're like, my professor is going to fail me because I was using Notehall. They exiled Notehall on campus. They said, anyone caught using Notehall in these classes, well, I'll fail you. It went to the extent where the UC system actually passed a law in California making it illegal to sell notes because of Notehall. Now, I thought this was a product death sentence, but little did I know these professors unknowingly became our chief marketing officers. When they're talking up here, no, you can't use Notehall. What are you guys going to do? It's Chat GPT. You're like, oh, yeah, jump on there. But the reality is, yeah, it just fueled our explosive growth, and it was a fun ride and we created Notehall to be a supplement, not a substitute. So that was like frustrating to me. But a few years ago, the same dean that actually led the crusade against Notehall with all the professors introduced me in front of a keynote speaker in front of the entire business school and had the most positive, warm things to say. I always knew you'd be a success. And I was like, bullshit, come on. But it was fun because we were so amused that I created a scholarship for the endowment, and now it's a perpetual scholarship with the name Notehall that she has to give out every year. So I think we're even. But what else? Let's go to the next slide. Oh, does anyone know or have an idea of what this is? Yes?
I'm taking a guess.
Please.
But this is, I'm assuming, network effect marketing.
No, I like it.
Visualization of it, where you can pass it to one person and just ripples outwards.
Good guess, but it kind of looks like that. I'll give you it for sure. Yes.
Is this a box for every day of the year?
Very close. We'll go to the next slide. So this blows me away. And for me, this reminds me, I look at this. When my life gets too redundant or I'm not taking risk, I look at this because it shows you how short life really is. Each one of those boxes on the left is a week in a 90-person who lives 90 years old, and each dot is there is a day. And seeing it on one screen, both of that is a really shocker for me. And I say this, I put it up there because it's a great reminder just to embrace failure, chase curiosities now. And these experiences can lead to incredible opportunities in any career path. And explore your potential, learn from your failures, and grow into the professionals, innovators, and leaders that you have the potential of being. So we'll go to the next slide. Oh, so start now and take risks. That was my little takeaway. If I didn't do this, you can kind of see where this would go. Middle school, I wouldn't have learned a business or enjoyed business. An entrepreneurship club, if I didn't start that, I would have never met Justin, never gotten the program. If I didn't get in the program, I don't know if I would have went to Wyoming, even went down the entrepreneurship path. And in the Shark Tank side, if I didn't get funding through the traditional route, we went to Philly, and then ultimately that led to that. So we can talk about that more after, but joyful detachment. All right, I need to speed up. Where am I? Oh, okay, so here it is. People often ask, how do you get acquired, Sean? And it's odd because it's disturbingly like going out in Old Town Scottsdale and trying to pick up on the most attractive person there. If you go up to say the most attractive person you're trying to pick on, you're like, hey, you're smoking hot, you want a date? It's like creepy, right? And that's just promiscuous behavior. However, if you take another approach and say, imagine that person hears about you from a friend, how charismatic you are, how you have such a contagious energy about what you do, and you have a great group of friends, you might have a shot then. And so that's what happened in 2010 with Chegg. They were the Goliath. People, they're still around, people still use Chegg. Okay, great. They were the Goliath in the industry. Everyone wanted a meeting with them. So we moved to San Francisco with $30,000 salaries, and we're like, all right, we channeled our inner Davids and let's give ourselves a shot. So we were and what we lacked in salary, we made up for in passion, fuel, and just building a kick-ass product with a team we loved. So fast forward is Chegg's founder actually emailed us. We lost the email. We were so like in the weeds, like managing note takers, getting things going. So we found a roundabout way to get an intro to us through a mutual friend. He invited us to their office. Magnificent. Snacks on snacks, hundreds of employees, free lunches, ping pong tables, like the epitome of a San Francisco Silicon Valley office. And the very opposite of Notehall's dungeon office. But at the time, he went ahead and I let these emails become like one-sided. Like I would resist my urge to text him or email him, and he would come and say, hey, do you want to hang out? Or do you want to, let's talk about business or whatever. Then eventually he's, hey, can I have a 5-year plan? And I'm like, if they ask you for a 5-year plan, they better have a ring in their pocket. So went ahead, provided a 5-year plan to Chegg. He ended up coming back with a lowball offer. And by that point, investors started circling a little bit. And so we were playing the field. We really were like opening up to opportunities. Chegg came back with another offer. And then ultimately, it was down the road, which is funny enough, at the W Scottsdale, he invited me to some swanky dinner. And he's, yeah, let's get together, and metaphorically got down on one knee and made an offer we couldn't refuse. And we sold, for just under $10 million. And I was blown away at 26 years old. Yeah, that was an incredible process. But the team, here it is. But the only reason we were able to do that is because we knew what we were worth. And so loving your work and the people that you build stuff with, loving your work and the people you're building with gets you so obsessed about the product that selling isn't even top of mind at the end of the day. And you can make your oh my gosh, let's forget that point. Furthermore, you'll have the confidence to know what you're worth, and you won't have to settle. And then focusing on the creation and the adventure of building Notehall is sometimes actually more rewarding than cashing out completely. So that is what I wanted to get through. So the Notehall excitement and team vanished basically overnight. I'm 26, single in San Francisco, go from a $30,000 salary to a millionaire overnight. And what do you think I do?
Party.
What?
Party.
Oh yeah, I party for sure. Yeah, so I tried to fill that void with all the flashy things money could buy. I bought a sleek sports car. We rented a massive mansion in San Francisco with some executives, and we threw some outrageous parties. And while that was fun, no doubt, for a little bit, the novelty wore off. And I was like, what's wrong? I'm like, living the dream life at 26, what's going on? So in order to chase more thrills or just trying to get some more, I grabbed a backpack, traveled around the world for 6 months. And what I realized is some of the happiest people in the world were in some of the poor financial circumstances. And I learned that happiness is relative. And I fell head over heels in love with travel. I was like, gosh, I want to make this available for everyone, regardless of their financial or time constraints. So I was with that fire, I jumped back into the entrepreneurial scene. So, yeah, with my eyes on the prize, we launched Pillow, and it was our solution for the short-term property. Sorry, it was a tech-enabled property manager to revolutionize the short-term rental industry. So basically what we were building was something to try to help renters, not just owners, to make money while they were gone. So say you were gone for 4 or 5 days, you could use Pillow to just turn around your place, come to a clean place, and you would have a couple $1,000s in your bank. The only issue was I was very passionate about travel, not property management. And then secondly, we were trying to build a solution for Airbnb, not ourselves. So that was a severe miscalculation at the end of the day. And I was naive and overconfident. I thought it would be a quick sell to Airbnb as it unlocked their supply constraint. And yeah, I was absolutely wrong. So millions of seed funding handcuffed me to the Pillow idea soon enough. And I was fixated on building something bigger and better. I thought the more team members, the more funding, higher valuations, larger office equated to more fun. No, not at all. Soon enough, we had raised $20 million, and it was about 100 times more than we raised with Pillow. And what do they say? More money, more problems, and higher expectations. So from the outside, Pillow was growing quick. We were getting media, and everything's going well. From the inside, it was a shit show. We were a sinking ship. It was leaking. And we were overhiring to go ahead and duct tape this situation. Yeah, soon enough we had 70 employees, and I was in over my head. I was going to the office, it was unenjoyable, my health lacked, and it wasn't just me, it was the team, the culture started, and it just goes back to if you're not building something you're passionate, you believe in, you're not going to work as hard at the end of the day. So what we ended up doing, I went undercover boss in my own company, hired on as a cleaner or handyman, and did the jobs and realized what a logistical nightmare we had on our hands. The next week, got the executives together and had to make the brutal call of laying off 50 people and vaporizing our $8 million of bad revenue. It was easily the most painful experience of my life and the most public, but it was ultimately what was going to give Pillow a chance, because we moved from 15 months of runway down to 7. And I know I'm getting into details here, but those that want to be entrepreneurs, it was incredibly stressful. And entrepreneurship's no joke. So at the edge of the entrepreneurial abyss, we had 12 people together at the end of the day. We called it our SEAL team. We were a tight-knit family in the trenches together with a common goal, common vision in this pivot. So my co-founders and I took significant pay cuts, and other team members did as well. But ultimately, we believed in this bigger vision and determined we turned this office, this 6,000 square foot office, into an income source by subleasing it to a team that was 3 or 4 times the size of us, even though it was decked out in Pillow. And we returned to our Notehall roots. We were frugal, we were failing small, failing fast, so we could iterate on product quickly. And ultimately, we started growing actually pretty quick. We went from what did we build? We built a SaaS solution for apartment buildings so renters could use this as an amenity, which was normally illegal. I don't know if that makes sense, but we can come back to that question and answer if you want. With 5 months of cash left, actually, we were growing so quick, so Airbnb took notice. We created a partnership with them. 5 months cash left. We were growing 60% month over month. Had a board meeting, and the board was like, guys, your revenues are still meager. Like, you need to start modeling out and closing operations. Basically, get ready for bankruptcy. So I went out to Airbnb and I was like, hey, let's do something. Let's get a little more serious. And they continued to friend zone us. So we went over, and my hope was throw some Hail Marys and try to create a love triangle. So, and pull the whole old Scottsdale program and bring it into the Pillow acquisition. So I got in touch with Expedia, Booking, and what did Airbnb do? They ran into the conversation like a crazy ex, realizing they're always in love. And the next few months, a lot of drama and a lot of stress was ensued, but ultimately Expedia bought us, shocking our entire team. And that was a crazy time, because the team, we basically believed in one another, these far-fetched goals. They could have worked anywhere, but the SEAL team's bond and for adversity, basically our bond together has continued to this day. We're close friends. We celebrate one another's life celebrations. My uncle just had his baby last week. Quinn's wedding's next week, and ultimately found that Expedia bought us not because of the pillow or because of the product necessarily, more so because we're able to pivot quickly, had really talented people, and we could get stuff done. So it's easy to tell you to enjoy the journey when things are well, but what's arguably more important is enjoy the journey when things aren't going well. And let happiness be independent of your outcomes and money. This is easier said than done, but it's those really crappy times that I remember when we were doing the marketing tactics. We're up till 12 o'clock together. We have doing the Guitar Hero contest or in the library. Those are the times you remember at the very end. It's not the big cash out or payouts. So this goes for whatever life path you choose. Try to enjoy the journey and pick something that you're okay failing at. So luckily we realized, lastly, so next one. All right, can anyone tell me what this is? All right, this one's a little tougher and not as fun. Close, yeah. So when the time you're 18, this is the average time left with your parents. You spent all this time in childhood, and you have 7% of time left in the teen. And so this was like really shocking to me, and it made me want to reevaluate my life. And it reminds me that it's important to spend time with Conway, and also spending time with the cheerleaders in life, whether it's family or team members or close friends, because time's limited with them. So after the Expedia exit, I decided to take a 3-year hiatus and from the entrepreneurial world, and to capitalize on my own lessons that I brought here today. Embrace the things that truly matter, which was personal well-being, travel, family, and giving back. And so I made an effort to be present with the people I love and cherish, and become a father I always wish I had, who's healthy and present. And although this chapter of my life didn't yield financial windfalls, the unconditional love of daughter Kinley and Jen gives me the best ROI. So life's too short to spend your days working on something that you're not passionate about or won't work your ass off to get done, or with people that bring you down. So all in hopes of a payday or a destination that's like likely going to be not up to your expectations or unfulfilling. So my fellow adventurers, as I wrap up here, whatever career or life path you choose, welcome the chance of failure. I encourage you, especially early on. Like you guys are, because that randomness just goes ahead and I'll stick to the script. And choosing the uncomfortable, unfamiliar, and dive into the randomness as these memories and lessons compound into a rich and meaningful life with no regrets. No regrets. I think that's important. But thank you for listening to me. And last suggestion, basically surround yourself with people that help you do the first two things. Take risks and enjoy the journey. So there it is. And went back to that ranch and didn't propose, but I got married there with a family. and then ultimately the fam, and that's the pillow family there. So I'd love to open it up to questions. Like I said, I'm an open book, so hit me with, I'll give you my honest answers. Hit me with whatever question, if they're weird or outlandish or personal, and I'll give you my best answer.
So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to come speak for us today. This has just been so truly insightful, and we really, really appreciate the honesty and the transparency that you're sharing with us, because that's hard to come across these days. My question for you is, so I'm currently taking this class called Finance 455, which is Entrepreneurial
455?
Yes. Oof. We're learning about, seed stage.
Anything with a 4. Yeah, sorry.
We're learning about seed stage financing, stage A and stage B, and all that cool stuff. And then recently we were just talking about intellectual property and that sort of thing. So I know that you mentioned that, sort of the brainchild of this thing that you created was in the library. I was just curious as to whether you guys struggled with, the university or, whatever organization owned the library trying to take a stake of what you guys created.
Yeah, that would be some really intense. We didn't, short answer, we didn't have any encounters where, hey, we want to take a portion of the business. But in companies, that's very much, I've heard of situations where two employees are getting together, talk about something on Slack. Okay, they leave, they start the business, it becomes $1 billion business, and then the company was like, oh wait, you guys basically started that here. That's intellectual property, and there becomes some settlement. But that wasn't an issue with Notehall. But it's good to know the whole A, B, C, D, and hopefully you don't get beyond that because
you don't want to go more. We had an example in class where there were these two guys who were at a bar. They just met each other. They didn't know each other. They both got drunk and they started coming up with this idea in their drunken state. One of them, forgot about it temporarily. The other one took the idea to create a company. Fast forward 20 years later, the other one's, hey, I want 50%, of it because 50% of the intellectual property was mine.
Well, that's going to be in a drunken state. Yeah, unless you have a phone tutorial. It's going to happen. Yeah. But no, that's definitely interesting. But IP is, I think, more and more difficult to actually file in word looking for. Basically, it's hard to file IP, especially IP processes. So your best advantage is create a moat through create a product, get users.
Yeah.
It's proprietary data, and I think that's what the new IP is going to be, unless you have an actual physical product. That's my opinion.
How much of your success do you say comes from learning in the classroom versus on the job?
Okay, I'm in a college right now. So if I was at U of A, I would have been saying, but honest. Okay, so look, there are things you learn in college that it won't be in the textbooks, or I can't recall it, or maybe it's subconscious that comes out. But what college gave me was a network of people, the ability to communicate, live by myself, or not live by myself, just become it was an internship for adulthood. That really was what I learned, but that's from my perspective. And these talks, what I was saying earlier, these are important. These are what I got the most out of for the students that actually take advantage of it. So continue doing this. And the free library after. Always starting. Yes.
Was there any specific habits you felt you intertwined in your life to say so persistent when you felt down, you felt your business maybe wasn't going to work, and then you felt like stuff?
No. It's a good. It's a good question. No, I was sad, dude. It was it was depressing. I was sometimes I want to just quit, and I wish I could be a Lyft driver. I just have everything set for me. I think my team ultimately. That is, you're in the trenches together. You're just all full of the shit. You know how bad it is, and you can balance each other. Going into the office together, knowing you're going to show up is, I don't know how I went ahead, and that helped my sanity. Kind of like my family, just that unconditional love. There's probably a better answer, but good question. So over here. Yes.
Thomas.
Thomas, yes.
So if I'm a worldwide organization of organic farmers and kind of just travel somewhere and work on a farm for a while. So I'm interested in Wyoming and like what it would have brought to you and how do you feel as though if any experiences in Wyoming played into your success in your career?
I've heard really good things about the
WWO.
Yeah, yes, and people have gone to Hawaii and they have a great thing being on a farm together. But in Wyoming, I think just being part of nature and understanding it's like it's not all meaningless, but being with nature just makes you realize like that's what the essence of life is and all that. It's a great question, but we can talk after.
Hi, I'm Kayla. So when you started Notehall, did you have another job that you were working, and how did you manage those responsibilities to make sure that you could pursue your passion but also have food on the table and a roof over your head? And what recommendations do you have for someone trying to navigate those two important priorities in their life?
Yeah, that was so. After Wyoming, with tips and everything, I made $7,000, and that's basically what I was living on. Another $3,000 from my grandpa, early inheritance that I got. But outside of that, it was $10,000 to make things work. And so I was frugal. I had 2 roommates and lived off rice and chicken, and that was all. But I didn't have another job because I believe I had to be all in. And that's your extreme focus. Whenever I've seen people try to balance a couple of things, or when someone says, "Oh, I have 3 companies, I'm kind of working on something," I'm like, "Really? Are they?" So that's my personal approach to it. But I've seen the other side around. I've also seen people do the part-time job and work on it. So there's no right way.
When you were in the initial stages, you had the vision and the idea. What do you think were the most important beliefs and action steps you took to bring imagination into reality and to go from what you believe in to get other people to believe in into real, tangible?
So ultimately, it came down to the value that I knew those in the Notehall world. I knew the value in the product. I knew when, as an ADHD, I couldn't never take notes up while the professor was just talking over. I'm like, oh, this. And then our fraternity, our people would be passing notes all the way, and I'd be like, I'll give $30 for that study guide. And I don't know, there was some kind of transaction or gray market there, so we wanted to just solidify it. Ultimately, it was like we knew there was value in the product, but we wanted to professionalize it or create more. Yes.
So when you formed Notehall, you basically made your team through the Entrepreneurship Club. So with your company Pillow, how did you gather your team together since you're changing?
So, is Justin watching? Could you up there? Justin was a sophomore year in college, and he's like, I was like, I'm gonna run with this idea. He's like, yeah, me too. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna lose him in the dust. I don't think he's really gonna wanna stick along with this. And he just kept writing. We went to our meetings, kept running together. So he ultimately graduated while my DJ and I, who I also met through U of A, ran this on the side. And then he ultimately graduated and came to join the team. And then Fetty was computer science. So we all kind of came together, but Entrepreneurship Club is like where it all started. Just look around and you'll find people that are good at what you suck at. That's like my advice. Yes. You? Sure. Please.
I guess kind of adding on to that, being in the tech space, but coming from a business background, did you run into any issues with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. We started out with a development firm actually, and then recruited through 6 packs of Corona, and recruited Fetty out of there and started paying him outside, and then he became our CTO. But that was really challenging. And then we would hire low-level engineers, $17 or $20 an hour, and then train them up. But that's when we had no money.
As you've been through the whole process and seen
seen how, experience the failures and seen how to like rebuild things or like, strategically place yourself in the right place at the right time. Have you ever thought about, coaching other students who have interest in entrepreneurship and just like teaching them like how to, register your company or how to get a patent or how to things like that?
Yeah, so I've been an advisor to students, definitely, and I worked on, or was a judge of the entrepreneurship program and advisor to several startups now. But that's kind of how I go that route. But yes, my LinkedIn should be on here, and you guys are welcome to reach out. We can talk about it. And feel free. Still my hiatus. Yes.
What were some of your mental health coping mechanisms and
What my coping mechanism?
during your venture in?
So I would run the stairs of Telegraph Hill in San Francisco in the mornings and do yoga. And that was like just to get it out of my head. But I'm still learning how to cope with stress. Not really, as my wife will say. Good. Yeah. It's super important. Meditation, a lot of my friends use, and I think it's the right way to go about it.
How are you able to shift from being like band at U of A to the teachers like helping you with the idea? Like, how did you shift from their mind, from them having band to them wanting to help you?
It's called endowments and them wanting. Yeah.
Oh,
They like when students succeed, so they can market you to other students. And I think that's what you're asking is like,
Yeah.
Ultimately, when we sold Shark Tank, they like broadcasting that. I think that's what it is, and we're still on good terms. But just let's say 20% of the professors didn't like us, and that went deep. Yes, please.
I have a question about finding co-founders and getting the right people on the team. How do you kind of figure out if someone's a good match or not? Because sometimes when two people don't match, like there can be a lot of clashes in ideas and like workflow can be hindered a lot.
It's a very touchy relationship. It's so important as a foundation. What I like to do is set up a vesting period at the very beginning. If you're like, this could work, have definitely meetings together, adult beverages, or just go out together and see if that friendship happens. Create turmoil, be combative, see how you guys work it out. Just on, I don't want to say political issues, but whatever like you guys differ on, and see how that goes, and see how I would say guys, but it's girls, males or females, what you complimented each other at. And what I do, my co-founders, hey, these are my superhero skills, and this is what I suck at. And just be completely transparent about that, and have them do the same thing, and see if it's a match. And then set it up on a vesting schedule, so you're not locked in. No one just gets 50% equity just by signing something and someone walk away. It's a 4-year cycle, so if someone boots out after 6 months, there's nothing on the line, or very little. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Baby steps. Hire slow, fire fast. Yes.
Right. Speaking of co-founders, what felt fair when you were bringing people on for like how you would split the company with some new people?
Yes. So I think it really depends on the maturity of the company. So Justin and I ultimately were 65-35. Justin, I don't think that was necessarily like the best way to do it. I think I probably should, because he was still in school and basically was out of school working full time. He sold a year later. But Justin's fantastic, and he ended up being my co-founder for the next company. Our developer, on the other hand, was it 10%? Because he chose to work on cash versus equity. So I think he probably deserved more. It really depends on the stage and what they're going to bring to the table and how much they're going to risk, balanced against the salaries. All right. And we have one more? Yes. Sorry.
Could you talk a little bit about your experience on Shark Tank?
Sure. So you want to know what portion of it, or
Yeah, like how was the process? How was working? Was it with Barbara? Is that like how was working with Barbara? And like, how does it vary from the other side?
So what you see right here is kind of like it. 4 cameras, but you walk into the Shark Tank. Getting on was, we were the first season. Walking on is, you'll see the sharks right there, probably here to the end of this. And there are 40 cameras up here, a big crane camera in your face, so that's intimidating. I was up there for an hour with DJ, an hour and 20 minutes. They put 20 minutes on film. There's a lot of stuff that we said. My agreement with ABC ended, so I can say everything. I had 10-year definition. Basically, they wear the same clothes, you'll notice, so they can chop in different pieces from different episodes to pretend that they said that in that interaction, but really it could have been another pitch that they blew in there. And they all have earpieces, so we have people talking to them, coaching them on what to say. So sorry, not to ruin the show for you, but it's not as, and they took 6% equity from Pillow when they said they wouldn't, so yeah, that was like a $600,000 check that I didn't think we would write, and chip on my shoulder about that. But it was Barbara's an amazing woman, and she is thoroughly, a good-hearted woman that wanted to make the deal work.
Thank you.
And when they bow out, Damon was like just on his phone the entire time. That was like my experience with Shark Tank overall. All right.
Any closing remarks for us?
No, good questions all. I had fun. Thank you for coming, and please connect if you have any questions outside of this. But hopefully you learned something and go kick ass in the world. We need more of you.